Okay, good morning, everybody, and Hazaku Baruch. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Friday morning as we are studying together Perashat Aharei Mot and Kedoshim, getting ready for the special Shabbat coming up tonight. And my friends, Hayom is Shnayim ve'esrim Yom HaOmer, Shehem Shlosha Shavuot ve'Yom Echad. Today is the 22nd day of the counting of the Omer as we are getting ready, climbing the mountain one day at a time, towards the receiving of the Torah, towards Matan Torah. My friends, I'd like to share with you a beautiful idea that really I think is not only important on Yom Kippur, but we could really apply every single day of the year. Of course, our Perashah, Aharei Mot, deals with the avodah, the service that was done in the Beit HaMikdash on Yom Kippur. And the entire procedure of the ceremony of what the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, what he would do in the Holy of Holies and in the Beit HaMikdash on the most important day of the holiest day of the year, Yom Kippur. You know, they say a joke of three progressive rabbis, and they were each one, bragging about how progressive their shul is, how progressive their synagogue is. So the first rabbi says, us in our shul, we have on Yom Kippur, people are hungry, you don't want them to fast. So on Yom Kippur we have a snack box, we have every chair, we put drinks, there's coffee station. This way people don't have to fast on this day. What is fasting? Fasting is for old times. Today people need to be hungry, energized to be able to pray. We have food on Yom Kippur. Well, the next guy, he says, listen, you think that's progressive? That's nothing. We in our shul, we know people will get bored and they're going to maybe not enjoy the rabbi's sermon or the prayers. So we give every person next to their chair a laptop with internet and Wi-Fi on Yom Kippur, just in case if they get bored, they could surf the web. The third rabbi says, that's nothing. Us, in our shul on Yom Kippur, we put a big sign, closed for the holidays. Okay, so on Yom Kippur, my friends, I think is a day that we all realize we're in shul, and it's a very special day, Yom Kippur. And it's special today, and it was special in the times of the temple. You imagine the Kohen Gadol doing what he did with the lottery and the two goats and sprinkling of the blood. Right? Very holy day, very special Perashah. And then our Perashah goes on, and it starts discussing the most interesting thing. Take a look. Same Perashah, this Perashah that I just told you about the holiest things, all of a sudden in chapter 18, starts talking about immorality. Look at this. God says, make sure that you don't act like the Egyptians where you came from. Right? The Egyptians were deep into immorality. God says, don't follow them. As an example, don't uncover the nakedness of your father or the nakedness of your mother. She's your mother. You shall not uncover her nakedness. Don't sleep with your mom. That's like what the Torah is telling you right after these laws of Yom Kippur. Okay? And don't be with your neighbor's wife, and don't be with your daughter, and don't be with your son, and don't be with an animal, and don't be. All the laws of immorality that, I don't know, we don't really relate to today, because thank God, I don't think people today really struggle with being with an animal or, a relative. These are disgusting things. But they're in the same Perashah. And what's even stranger is not just that they're in the same Perashah, but my friends, on Yom Kippur, the day, the highest day of the year, that you're so inspired, that we're like angels, that you're wearing a talet all day long, we're wearing white, we don't wear leather shoes because we want to be angelic, and we don't eat because we want to be angelic, and everything that we do is because we're so holy, right? This holy day, Yom Kippur, that you're reaching the high and mincha, the highest time, and ne'ilah, and we're reading about Yonah and everything, right, that we do on Yom Kippur. I want you to try to remember, on Yom Kippur afternoon, we read the Torah, just like we do on Shabbat afternoon. Anyone know what paragraph we read on Yom Kippur afternoon? Which psukim did the rabbis choose to give us inspiration? You have to realize that today, the rabbi speaks right before ne'ilah. That's where the inspiration comes from, usually before your Amidah, before the gates are about to be closed and you want to get in every possible last request through the door. You want to sneak it in if you were sleeping till now. This is where everyone wakes up, right? Come on, guys, it's Ne'ilah, it's crunch time, let's go. This is Ne'ilah, right? And the rabbi speaks. This is the rabbi's, probably, he's got to whip out his best speech of the year. Right here, Ne'ilah. But remember that there weren't always, and historically, there wasn't always a speech. Speeches is maybe relatively new. The inspiration used to be God giving a speech. In other words, the Torah reading. You would read the Torah and that was the inspiration. What did the rabbis choose? If I put you on a board to the side, we need to know which parasha should we read. Minha, as the day's about to end on Yom Kippur, we want to inspire the people, pump them up. What should we give out to read? What should be the Torah reading? What would you say? Right? Maybe Kedoshim Tihiyu. Gotta be holy. We're holy today, right? It's beautiful, Parasha Kedoshim. You know what we read? We read what I just told you. We read the paragraph of don't sleep with an animal, and don't sleep with your sister, and don't sleep with a man, and don't sleep, and don't sleep, and don't sleep. Immoral laws that are repugnant, that are anyways so, like, whose head is there on Yom Kippur? If that's what you're thinking about today, you're in trouble, man. You know what I mean? You're in trouble. This is where your head is. Whose head is there? Usually, probably not. Even if there's one or two people, small percent. But the masses, they're on a high. Yom Kippur. No one's sitting on Yom Kippur who's thinking of this stuff. Right? This is the question that we have to address today. Not only that, I want to ask another question. The Rambam writes, I want to read you the Rambam. He says, Ahar kach, when the Kohen Gadol is done doing all of his work, it's a long day for him. As tired as you are, he's even more tired. He is fasting, and he's also doing the avodah, killing animals, sprinkling blood, carrying it to the top of the altar, throwing the meat, running around. He's doing a lot of things this day. Very tired. He's changing his clothing. Kohen Gadol, you know how many times he changes his clothing? He changes his clothes like, I don't know, 5 times? He changes his clothes tons of times, you know? So what is up? What is up with all of this avodah? And then he has to dip in the mikveh every time he changes his clothes. A lot of work, a lot of changing, a lot of doing, a lot of action. Look at the Rambam. Ahar kach, when he's done, mekadesh yadav raglav, he washes his hands again. Uposhet bigdei zahav, he takes off his clothing of temple clothing, his golden beautiful clothing. Velobesh bigdei atzmo, then he wears his regular clothing. Veyotze lebeito, and he goes home. And this needs elaboration, because really, do you need to tell me that, Rambam? Does it matter halachically where he goes? What if he wanted to go for a walk? What if he wanted to go to the beach? What if he just had a very hard day and he needed to get a drink at the bar? I don't know. But does it matter where he went? You should tell me the halachot that pertain to the day. The halacha, where does the day end? If I were to ask you, where does the day end for the Kohen Gadol? What's the last thing the Kohen Gadol does on Yom Kippur? What's the last step? The last step is take off the clothing that you used, and that's it. Now you're done. No, the Rambam says you go home. And he writes it specifically, you got to go home. Don't just go anywhere, go home. And again, why does the Rambam need to tell us this? And who cares? That's not really a halacha, is it? It's just, obviously he's going to go home. Where else is he going to go? He's going to go home. All right? One more question. One of the most famous parts of the Yom Kippur prayer is the Seder Avodah. Are we all familiar with this? The Seder Avodah. It actually goes for a lot of money. Many synagogues sell it. And what it is we don't have today the temple, the Beit HaMikdash, to do the Avodah, but we at least can learn and say out loud what the Avodah was. So we don't do it, but we have it, but we say it. Right? We say it. It's called the Seder Avodah, where we kind of go step by step. We repeat step by step all of the Avodah that the Kohen Gadol would do in the times of the Beit HaMikdash. And everyone's standing up, and we're kind of like relearning what he does. It's like telling a story. If you read it in English, it's very interesting stuff. And one of the most famous pieces of here, everyone loves to sing and join the Chazan, is the Ahat ve'ahat. Remember this prayer? Ahat, Ahat ve'ahat, Ahat ve'shtayim, Ahat ve'shalosh, Ahat ve'arba, Ahat ve'chamesh, Ahat ve'shesh, Ahat ve'sheva. Right? והכהנים והעם כשהיו שומעים שם המפורש יוצא מפי כהן גדול בקדושה ובטהרה היו קורעים ומשתחווים, and everyone goes down on the floor and they start yelling. What do they start yelling? Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Are you familiar with this? Am I alone on this one? Is everyone with me? Yeah? We repeat what the Kohen Gadol used to do, and he would sprinkle Ahat ve'ahat, Ahat ve'shtayim. If anyone needs a high holiday chazan, let me know, okay? I'm available. Okay. So, Ahat ve'ahat, Ahat ve'shtayim. He would sprinkle the blood, because remember, he would slaughter an animal, catch the blood, they would have to mix it so it doesn't congeal, and then he would sprinkle the blood in the Holy of Holies. He would go into the Holy of Holies. Look at the Rambam. The Mishnah says that he would go into the Holies of Holies, he would take the blood, he would stand there, and he would take blood in the Holy of Holies, he would sprinkle. He would sprinkle one time up, one, and then 7 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So altogether, how many sprinkles? Very good. 1 plus 7, 8. But how would he count? You know, sometimes people have to count. Like if you ever measure, you ever saw a lady cooking? Maybe if you're a lady, if you ever cook, or if you ever saw a man cooking. Okay, I'm not excluding men from cooking. If you cook, good, I love it. But either way, if you ever saw someone cooking, you ever saw how they, sometimes when they're measuring, they count out loud so they don't forget what they're up to? 1, 2, 3, right? Because you forget. Sometimes when I'm making the formula for the baby, I count how many scoops. 1, 2, right? So the Kohen has to count out loud so he doesn't forget what he's up to, right? He doesn't forget. So he counts 1, 2, 3, right? So 1 and then 7 down. But how would you count that? If I were to ask you, what would be the most efficient, easiest way to count out loud this sprinkling of the blood? How would you count that? I would say 1 and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or 1 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? Either one of those are fine. I accept either one. But you know how this guy would count, Kohen Gadol? Look at what he would count. This is the Mishnah. Masechet Yomah. He says, V'kach haya moneh. This is how he would count. He would count. Ahat. Ahat ve'ahat. Ahat ve'shtayim. Ahat ve'shalosh. Ahat ve'arba. Ahat ve'hamesh. Ahat ve'shesh. Ahat ve'sheva. The way he would count was as follows. 1, 1 and 1, 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 1 and 5, 1 and 6, 1 and 7. He would have to say 1 and 1. He would have to keep going back and remind himself that he already did the 1 up. Right? Very interesting. Why? It's such a complicated way to count. You know, it probably could mix you up more, I think. Why would you need to count that way? I think it would make much more sense if the guy just counted 1 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But no. He's got to keep saying Ahat ve'ahat, Ahat ve'shtayim, Ahat ve'shalosh. So this is what we're going to discuss today. And I think there's a very important lesson of here. You know, the Lubavitcher Rabbi used to teach something we spoke about it back in Parashat Lech Lecha. But a name, my friends, you have to realize, a name, what is a name? What's in a name? Sometimes a person has a child, they need to name the child. A name is not just a label. It's not just a way of referring to somebody. A name in Judaism, in Hebrew, a Shem, actually could give you insight into the essence of that thing. You know, in Lashon HaKodesh, in the Hebrew language, when Adam named all the animals, he didn't just name elephant, monkey, bear, tiger. In English, it's arbitrary, it's irrelevant, it doesn't matter. They just made up a name, bear. Okay? They didn't think too deeply, why are we calling it a bear? Why are we calling this a monkey? Man and ki, like don't make Dvar Torahs out of a monkey. You know what I mean? It's just a monkey. But in Hebrew, you can make Dvar Torahs because the words that the rabbis chose were very thought out. They put a lot of thought, a lot of energy into deciding what name, because in Judaism, a name really encapsulates the essence, the core, the soul of that thing. When God calls man Adam, he didn't just pick, you look like an Adam. No. He called him Adam because he is an Adam. And Adam is everything about man. If you want to know man, just look at his Hebrew name. His name, Adam. Adam from the word Adama. Man could be like earth. Man could also be Adam, Adameh. Similar. I could relate to God. You could be like earth, an animal. You could be like godly. You could be angelic. You could be a spiritual, amazing person. You pick Adameh or Adam. Right? So you see Adam, very powerful. Very powerful. Matter of fact, many Rebbes, when Talmidim come to them to get advice what to name the child, the Rebbe will give the students advice on everything except for this. They'll tell you, Rebbe, what color curtain should we get in our living room? They'll tell you, right? Some people, they ask the rabbi every single question. Some of them you shouldn't ask your rabbi. Like, it's irrelevant what you paint in your living room. But okay, they ask the rabbi. And many times the rabbis will guide them on whatever questions they come their way. But there's one question that it's known, even in Hasidic circles, that the rabbis don't answer. And that is what name to give their child. Because the name is something very special, that Hashem puts certain prophecy into the parent's head, into their mind, what to name the child. There was somebody the other day that came to the synagogue, they wanted to name their daughter, and all of a sudden, by the Torah, the guy pauses, and he looks at me, he says, I'm not naming her. Like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't know. I don't think the name. He just had this moment that he felt like the name wasn't the right name for this kid. He said, I need to rethink this. I want to speak to my wife again. We'll name her on Shabbat. Okay, very interesting. But sometimes, right, a name we have to realize is not just, my last name is West, so I'll call my kid North. Very cute. A name is very deep. A name is very holy. A person needs to really think, what am I going to give, what name will I give my child? So Lubavitch Rebbe used to say that it's true with a child and it's true with a parsha. Look at the parasha, and the name of the parasha could give you everything that you need to know. Well, what is the name of this Yom Kippur parasha? The parasha that we have that deals with all of the service, the holiest day of the year. What's the name of the parasha? The name is Aharei Mot, after the death. What does that mean? What does that have to do with the name? What does that have to do with the parasha? Like, I get Parashat Bereshit. That's a very appropriate parasha, right? Apropos. Bereshit, the beginning. Noach, great. Fine. Everything makes sense. But what is Aharei Mot? How does that fit? How does that encapsulate? How does that explain to us what the soul of the parasha is? But the truth is that Aharei is everything that you need to know. You see, my friends, in life, we all get inspired, right? We get inspired. We get inspired to want to learn. We get inspired that we want to pray. We get inspired that we want to stop wasting time. We get inspired that we want to start doing good with our money. We get inspired that we want to start helping people. We want to start, being kinder, spending more time with our children, putting the phone down, being healthier, to stop smoking, to start running, to start, going on a diet, to stay away from junk, to start reading more, right? In life, we get inspired, right? We get inspired spiritually, we get inspired physically, and we want to go and we're ready to go and conquer. And Yom Kippur is no better day in the year than to get inspired than Yom Kippur. It's the happiest, holiest day. And we're promising, we have such a clarity. I don't want to ever sin again, and I'm never going to do that, and I promise, and I'm past, that's not me anymore, and I'm done with those things, and I swear. And think about Yom Kippur, right? How many promises we made, right? We swore we're never doing this again. It was so clear to us. It was obvious. I'm not doing that. That's not me. God, this year is different. This year is different. And we meant it. We meant it, my friends. We weren't sketching. We knew this year I'm done with those things. Yeah? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shekol nivra. You name it. Everyone on their own level. Kosher and brachot and tehillim and whatever you struggle with. But our parasha comes and reminds us, my friends, never forget that Aharei. Never forget that tomorrow, Aharei, after, you're not going to always be this inspired. Actually, Aharei, you know what's going to happen tomorrow or after? Mot. It's going to die down. You're not going to be on this level forever. You're not going to always see this clearly. Yesterday, no way. Immorality, disgusting. It's true, but Aharei Mot, it's going to die tomorrow. You're going to be tempted next week. We're not going to always want to stay on this mountain. We're not going to always feel like, you know what, cigarettes are bad. We're not always going to be reminded how dangerous gambling was for me, or how bad drinking was, or that I should maybe continue working out or eating healthy. Right? The pasuk says, "Mi ale behar Hashem, umi yakum bimkom kocho." Who can climb the mountain of God? But King David doesn't stop there. You see, everyone can climb the mountain. Climbing the mountain is actually easy. You know what's difficult? It's not climbing, it's staying on top. Mi yakum. Day one, everyone's in. They're starting a new daf, yomi, masechet, or cycle. Everyone's in on day one. Everyone's there. How many people come to class on the first day? 100 people, right? But the question is, who can stay there? Mi yakum. Consistency. You see, my friends, in life, the key to success is consistency. The key to success is perseverance. The key to success is to be persistent. Everyone can do something great. Day one is easy. The challenge is continuously doing it. Daily. The grind. When the inspiration's gone, when the crowd goes home, when it dies out, when you're back in the day-to-day. Now you're not inspired anymore. I don't know, right? This is what we call in English the grind. The grind. To remember that in life, Aharei Mot. After, you're not going to feel like this. In a week, you're going to die. The inspiration's going to die. The high that you're on is going to be deflated. Right? It's going to be gone. And therefore, on Yom Kippur, the highest day of the year, the rabbis are very realistic. The rabbis are telling us something very profound. They're saying, you know, right now, you are very into this. Right now, you feel holy. Right now, you feel great. But I want you to know something. Don't think that you sleeping with an animal is something that you're past. It can happen. And realistically, a person could fall in a few days, in a few weeks. You could fall back to being there. Because we're human. And temptation will always come. And therefore, God says, on the Torah reading of the holiest day of the year, I want you to read this. And remember that you're capable of going back there. And ask yourself one question. What are you going to do to ensure that you don't? Because the feeling is not going to stay forever. Realistically, you may go back. In a week, in a month, in a year, you're going to go back. And what are you going to do to ensure that you stay committed? This is what we call, in English, a resolution. In Hebrew, a Kabbalah. A Kabbalah means, what step am I taking? Inspiration is abstract. Inspiration is in the air. It's very fluffy. It's very nice. It's very cute, but it's not real. It's not real. It's like a speech. Rabbi gets up there and he gives a crazy speech. Fire speech. Very nice, right? Wow, you woke out. That was sick. My God, I'm never ever gonna speak Lashon Hara again. I'm never gonna make fun of somebody. I am gonna be so empathetic. Leadership is for me, honey, right? You get all on a high. Very nice, good. But now what? Now what? What are you going to do with that inspiration? how is it going to stick? How are you going to make it real? You can't let it just stay up there. You can't let it stay high. Got to bring it down. Concrete, practical. Bring it down to the world. You see, achat lemala. It's very nice to be lemala, but you got to make it sheva lemata. What are you doing to bring it down to here? Sheva lemata, achat, achat ve'achat. We have to always remember that the inspiration, that high, the spiritual clarity must become practical. What are you going to do to remember? I remember when I was in France, this is a story that I love to say, with my wife. I always say it's our honeymoon. She argues that it's not our honeymoon. She still is asking for a honeymoon and a refund. And okay, I owe her one. But either way, when we were in France, we went around, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. We saw everything in 3 days. I think it was beautiful. Again, she was pregnant, so she didn't think it was beautiful. But either way, we went to France. And I remember one day we stopped by one of those souvenir shops, and we bought a little Eiffel Tower. They charged us more than the ticket to see the real Eiffel Tower. But either way, because we got the tickets for free, actually, which is a whole nother story. One day I'll tell it to you, maybe. But I remember we got a little Eiffel Tower. And I said, Frida, why do we need the Eiffel Tower? We saw the real Eiffel Tower. We got pictures with the real one. We don't need a fake one. And she told me something very, very smart. She said, it's true, you saw the real one. But, honey, I know what's going to happen. In a week, you're going to forget all about this trip. All you're going to have is the credit card bill. All you're going to have is back to the routine. And then you see the little Eiffel Tower. And you know what the Eiffel Tower does? The Eiffel Tower souvenir reminds you of the amazing trip we had. When you see the Eiffel Tower, you say, wow. Remember we walked down the Champs-Élysées? And then we got up to the Arc de Triomphe? And then we walked up the Eiffel Tower, and we took a boat ride on the Seine River, and we went to the Louvre, and we saw the Mona Lisa, and then we went to Chateau de Versailles, and then we went to Galerie Lafayette, and then we remember all of that? Yeah? That's what this does. This is to remind you of the amazing, beautiful time, the clarity that you once upon a time had. Matter of fact, correct me if I'm mispronouncing this, but in French, to remember, how do you say to remember? Je souviens? Is it something like that? So, souvenir, something like that, right? So, souvenir comes from souvenir, to remember. That's what a souvenir does. A souvenir helps us remember. You see, in life, we all get inspired, right? Souvenir. Je me souviens. Okay, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but after the class, we'll take the correct pronunciation on these things. But the point is, that's where souvenir comes from, right? Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup. Okay. So, excuse my French. Okay. So, my friends, this is what inspiration is. Inspiration is very nice, but inspiration is going to fade. And you need to ask yourself, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do when it's gone? What are you going to do tomorrow, next week? This is where resolutions, this is where we need discipline. Discipline to stay committed to the inspiration that we once upon a time had. That when it's gone, I still hit the gym. That when it's gone, I remember, 1 second, I can't eat this food. This food is bad. Remember, once upon a time, to create for ourselves abilities to always remember when the inspiration is gone, the Kabbalah kicks in. The Kabbalah, the resolution is concrete. It's real. To take the Ahad Lemala and to make it into a Sheva Lemata. 7 is this world. 7 days of the week, right? 7 continents, 7 seas. 7 means the circle of life. To take 1 above but bring it down here. Don't keep it up there. What does it look like? You got inspired, good. But what does that mean now? You had a Yom Kippur. But what does a Yom Kippur look like? What does the morning after look like? Some people get so inspired. Some people had such a high. They go to yeshiva for a year. They have the most eye-opening experience. And you know what the morning after looks like? They become a person who just buries themselves into themselves and they stay away from the world, and they become just somehow meaner and just less tolerant, and they're more judgmental. But then you took your achat lemala and you kept it lemala. Achat lemala means bring it down to this world. If you got close to God, that has to also allow you to be closer to people. There has to be a sheva lemata, practical, or else your Yom Kippur was fake. Your Yom Kippur shouldn't alienate you from mankind. It should bring you closer to them. Sheva lemata. When the Kohen Gadol's done, the Rambam says, you know where he goes? He goes home. And that's part of the day. He's not done. We always think he's done, right? He's done. The second he takes off the golden clothing, he's done. No. The Rambam, you're not done. Now you have the hardest part. The hardest part is put on your weekday clothing. Go home. Let's see how you treat your wife. Let's see how you treat your kids. Very nice that in shul, very nice that on Yom Kippur, very nice that in front of people, you were very, very polite. Very nice that in the Beit HaMikdash, you were holy. Big whoop. Everyone can be holy. Let's see how you acted when you went home. Go lebeto. That's the hardest part. Let's see how you act now. The second the fast is over. It's very funny to sometimes look at ourselves and to think, I'm fasting and I'm holy, and then I come home and then I get angry at my family. And then I start yelling at my kids, and I start yelling at my spouse, and I start yelling at my husband. That's holy. Veyotze lebeto. You gotta see, are you taking this home? If not, the inspiration just stayed on Yom Kippur. The inspiration should never stay on the day. A successful Yom Kippur is not measured by how holy you are on that day. It's measured by how holy you are for the rest of the year. Yeah? The hardest part of Yom Kippur is actually staying holy tomorrow. Staying holy today is easy. You're in shul all day, you're praying all day, you're not eating, you're not doing any phones, you're not doing electricity. Of course you're holy. You can't talk gossip, you're not doing anything wrong, you're not with a secretary, you're not in Vegas. You're holy. What do you expect? But that's not holiness. Holiness is the next day. Aharei. The morning after. What are you doing with this? Are you taking this to the regular day-to-day life? Are you taking this back home? Are you taking this to your spouse? Are you taking this to your children? Are you taking this to your friends? Is this going to be a springboard for us to be a better person? Are we growing in this way and this way? That's holy. Holiness is the harkach, and then put on your weekday clothing, and then go home. What does it look like tomorrow? Can you stay on the mountain? Not just go up it. Going up is relatively easy. Day one is easy. It's day two that's hard. Day two is hard. Day two is what the Kohen Gadol needs to know. Yotze lebeto. The next day. The next day is the hardest part. So this is, my friend, something that I think we could all really relate to. Especially now as we are as far from Yom Kippur as it gets, right? I mean, not as far, right? Because the farthest is the day before. But you know what I mean. We're like 6 months later. We're uninspired. We're in the middle of spring. We're ready to start partying. We're planning our summer trips if we're going to Europe, or if we're going to the mountain, or if wherever you're going, right? And it's fun, and it's... But where are my Kabbalot? Where are my resolutions? Where are they? Where is that person that I promised I was going to be on Yom Kippur? Who did I want to be? Think back. Pull out your little piece of paper that you saved, if you saved it in your Siddur on Yom Kippur. How many promises did you make? What did we aspire to be? And where are they now? How far are we from that? What are we doing to stay true to our resolutions in a way to renew our vows? It's important to renew in the middle of the year, to go back to that list, to recommit, to remind. It's okay, we fall. We're up and down, up and down, up and down. You're not perfect. But we got to get back up. We fell. What am I doing to get back up? What am I doing to regain the consistency? The inspiration's gone now. 6 months later, it's gone. It's faded. It's faded the morning after. It left Aharei Mot. It left the next day. But now here I am, 6 months later, and I need to get back on. What is that thing that I want to commit to? Maybe a health choice, maybe a relationship choice, maybe a spiritual choice. But I committed to something, right? What is that thing? What am I doing today to put myself back on track? Aharei, the morning, the next morning. That's the hardest part, my friends. That's the hardest part. So Hashem should bless us to make Kabbalah, to get inspired, but more importantly, to not stay inspired. I don't know if staying inspired is the right choice. Because staying inspired is, I don't know if it's realistic. You don't stay inspired, but to stay committed. To stay committed. Commitment is a word that today is very cheap. Today, no such thing as commitment. Today, you get married and it's expected that you're going to get divorced. Right? Today, when someone said they're married, the next follow-up question is, what number? What number marriage? That's like, in many cultures, the question that's immediately following, I'm married. What number marriage? Because why would you be on your first? Probably not, maybe not. Because commitment? What do you mean commitment? In today's world, there's no such thing as commitment. If you don't like something, you just throw it out. You get rid of it, you return it. Right? You don't like something that you bought from Amazon, you return it. Committed? Commitment. So this has lent itself, unfortunately, to relationships, to marriage, where we don't feel the need to stay committed if it's just difficult. So commitment means reminding myself of how much I love my wife, how much I love my husband. Commitment means reminding myself of how much I was so insistent on not doing X, Y, and Z anymore, or to start doing X, Y, and Z. Yeah? So to stay committed, Hashem should bless us. To get inspired, but more importantly, to stay committed. Okay, everyone? We'll stop over here. Have a Shabbat Shalom. And God willing, we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.